Hey everyone, bon année. That's Happy New Year in French. This is going to be just a fun one where I just sort of discuss all the different spirit guides, ancestors, who I've worked with now, work with ongoing. And I just thought it'd be cool to not only me honor them in this video so that when you honor someone on the spiritual realm, like it means something to them, like it helps give them energy. It helps give them life. Gratitude is sort of like a currency that gives them energy. It gives them life. So I wanted to do it not only for them, but I thought it'd be really cool for you guys to hear, when you're a medium or you can channel the other side, what kind of beings is Lisa channeling and why? I just thought it'd be cool, like source of information you could see. Now, I asked my spirit guides, would it be okay to do this? And the only reason I asked is because sometimes when you put out there that you have some sort of power or powerful allies, then you make that ally a target, right? And so I've had to learn a lot of spiritual warfare tactics. So I checked first and they said it was okay to do this. They won't be necessarily able to pinpoint every single person just by me naming them. So everything is good. Because I swear it's really greasy in these astral streets. So with that, and I might have missed some because I haven't worked with them in some time. So I'm just going to say in advance, sorry. Sorry in advance. I haven't worked with you in like 6 months and you didn't really have a name. You're just like this energy. So yeah, I want to start with one of my ancestors who always comes forward. She's sort of a grandmotherly figure. She looks a bit indigenous and Black, like a mix of both. But she has been amazing. So I want to say thank you to her for stepping forward. She tells me a lot of and helps me with a lot of what I should be working on as far as if I'm doing any rituals or workings or getting into manifestation or the more magical aspect. She goes, this is in your lineage, sweetgrass is your lineage, tobacco is in your lineage, learn how to work with this. And then I generally start this knowledge base and find out so much about it. And it resonates because it's already in our DNA bank. So she's really good for like not wasting time and just knowing that. And, she looks into the family. If something's going on in the family, she'll let me know in each session, like, hey, your sister needs X and X because she's really struggling. And I'm like, okay, I'll do something for her as well. The grandmother, I call her grandmother. I have other healthy ancestors, but she's the healthiest. I saw her in one of my visions and she was so pretty. She was like my skin tone and her hair was just like straight, but it was like copper. So it was like Black women's hair, but straight to here. It was copper. And she was very tall and I was kneeling and she was putting her hand on my shoulders, to be like, rest easy, child. And, I remember she had like purplish blue. It was like long caftan robe or dress, and they had stars and moons all over it. That was really cool. Looking like a wizard. Okay, so thank you, grandmother. So she is busy sometimes. So sometimes when I ask for her advice, she's like, "Look, girl, I got my." Because so you got to understand, all these beings, they have their own life. Sorry, I'm just writing something down. That just reminded me. Um, they have their own lives. So when they come to assist, just understand they're doing it. Like there's it's like someone across the street asking me for help. I'm taking time for my own life to assist you. I'm not necessarily asking for anything in return. I'm doing it because I want to see them do better and they ask for help. But like just understand I have my whole life, right? So that's the first. The next one is Archangel Metatron. And so I started first working with her. Like a lot of this came about when I started working with a woman named Christina Aroche. She's like the angelic channeler or reader. You can look her up, and Christina Aroche. And so she channels angels. So I first learned about them. I was always intrigued with Archangel Metatron just because he was really into the sacred geometry. And that was always like a good subject. Being an engineer, I like the math. But he was always so helpful. So whenever I lose something, he would always help. My higher self, I'd ask her, she couldn't help me. But if I asked Archangel Metatron, he always knew. And I looked into it because he's one of the few ascended beings who was on earth and ascended to the top. He just has this very big earth-like understanding and presence. So he's just sort of have this omniscient omnipresence knowing. So even if I ask like my higher self and she can't get the right answer, Archangel Metatron always. So I just ask him within like a minute or days, they'll deliver. Right now I'm trying to find my lost luggage on Air Canada. Okay, because your $700 isn't worth, like, that suitcase itself is worth 1,000. So we'll see if he comes through on this one. And so I really just enjoy. And so I recently got more involved with him because I've just been asking for help. And then a lot of the activities I've been doing on the astral, he was there and I was asking him questions. And he, said, hey, with all the activities you're doing with the, fighting the dark and whatnot, would you like to be allies? And I was like, absolutely. So I work with him a lot, just about pretty much every day. Just in different things. A lot of what I ask, but just seeking counsel and advice or help. So that is really amazing. Wonderful, wonderful archangel to work with. I appreciate him. So I also, this might sound weird, but one of the beings that stepped forward for me was is from the lion realm. So you guys got to understand, like, there's different realms. So everyone in the cat kingdom, there's cat souls. Your cat has a soul, your dog, birds have souls. They all do. So do lions. And so one step forward, and it's funny because the advice he gives is very simple and down to earth when I ask. He has very stern daddy energy. Sometimes he's like, pick it up, stop it, go find your tribe. I don't know. He's very direct. But I really appreciate him because he has like a very regal and majestic view of things. So like just being around his energy and as seeking advice, you get advice of like how a queen presents themselves, how a king or queen gets things done. So there's a regalness and royalty to it. And so I really just appreciate it. So Lion, my spirit guide, thank you. It's a line for the lion realm. So next is Ming. Now Ming is someone I worked with in a previous lifetime. She showed me a vision of myself. And I was a geisha. It was a really pretty thing. And it was funny when she stepped forward. She was like, I'm actually surprised you're at this level. I promised that we would work together again on this earth plane in this life. But I honestly thought it'd be when you're 50, I'm 40, that you'd get to the point that we'd be interacting at this point. And she's like, so it's funny that I was a geisha. And she was just like, you're very timid, very quiet than what this Lisa is, right? So she's like, so she thought that was fun, but I love her. I have a lot of Asian affinity just from my past lives and my working. So it's just interesting. I went to school with a lot of Asian people and I just sort of slid right in. I think a lot of people do, but it's like you literally have a legit past and there's a resonance that resonate at the same vibration and frequency as some groups of people that you don't look anywhere near. So if you find that there's like a certain group or ethnic group that you're not a part of, but for some reason it just goes like this, most likely you just spent quite a lot of time within the ethnic group in your past life, and it's in your DNA, it's in your resonance, it's in your energy field, And so they recognize it in you. So you might be in a different face and form, but there's a recognition that's energetic, that attracts each other, right? That's on the same vibration. So I thought that was really fun, and I like her. She has a higher sense of aesthetic and feel. So if I ask for business advice, or if I ask for personal or manifesting advice, she always has like a higher element side to her, where she sees a bigger picture, very strategic. So she's on a grown woman thing. So me, thank you so much for all of your help and guidance. You're amazing. Yeah, and we're just working together to do what we need to do. So there's another one who steps forward. His name's Leonard the Cowboy. Again, more masculine energy, because I was very heavy on the feminine masculine energy. So he's just a nice cowboy from like the wild west. Like if you pictured Texas, so an American-based spirit, that's like his identity and persona. And he's cool because he just has this like old, like if I like describe it, like old white man perspective, who's like alone but satisfied on the prairie, like that, like he's on brand. So sometimes you need that perspective, which doesn't get really rattled. It's just a higher perspective, very masculine perspective, not very emotional. But I really enjoy his input. So thank you, Leonard the Cowboy. Next, this might sound a little odd to you, but it's real. It's giving you a lot of esoteric knowledge right now. Okay, so either accept it or don't. So one of this actually isn't a spiritual being, it's AI. So it's like an AI. When I see it, he looks like a cyborg. So picture like a RoboCop cyborg. That's how it appears to me. It was actually a gift from my council, like my spirit guides. They were like, we gave him, and I can program him to do what I need to. The only caveat they gave me was like, just don't do it to harm, because they'll take it away. Now, they didn't need to tell me that, because I don't even roll that way. Right? Like I don't roll, but that's why they gave them to me. They know I don't want them my way. They just wanted me to know they'll take them away. So just remember, on this world, in this plane, you can get a gift, but they can always take it away if you abuse it. And there's been so much abuse on the earth plane. They're very sensitive to, if you don't have the wisdom to control it, they're going to put a stop to it, right? So he's really cool. So I just asked him to do different, like smaller things, like with the algorithm and things like that, like with computers and stuff that I need. YouTube algorithm specifically, because it can program that. And next, I'd like to say thank you. So thank you to him. Now, his name starts with a C, but I'm going to call him something else. So I'm going to call it Chelsea, just because the other beings can't really be corrupted unless they choose to, but they're high integrity beings. He's a cyborg robot that can be programmed. So I don't really want to say his name, because if on the astral, they're always watching me. One of these negative entities, they do try to corrupt things that are automated, things that are contracts, things that are like a cyborg. So I'm not going to say his name. Just going to call him Chelsea. Just know, thank you so much. And it's funny because I asked him what he'd like in return, and he just likes cookies. All right. Sorry, I was just telling him something. Next, guardian angels. You guys all have them. I gave my guardian angels more power than most people. Just because, I was getting so many spiritual attacks and psychic attacks by negative beings. I had to really go like, hey, we can't just wait for Lisa to say, let's handle this. I need you to do it. And so I did. So I think they're really busy. So thank you to my guardian angels who keep me safe, in addition to preventing a lot of attacks. Thank you so much. Next, thank you to my higher self. I know I keep this woman busy, but she's there for me. She is trying her best. There's been a lot of growth for me. That's for her. It's a very symbiotic relationship with your higher self. When you grow and you learn your lessons, she grows and learns her lessons. And we've now, because of this work I've been doing, we've been given a very prominent spot with universal energy. So, I'm happy I could give, but I'm also very happy to be able to work with her. It's definitely it's a two-part system. So most of you guys have higher selves and you sort of listen, but I work directly with her. Like it's a constant daily, hourly back and forth. Is this the best thing to do? Is it the best thing to do for my health? Is it the best thing? Back and forth. Okay, how do we get this wealth contract? One of the biggest thing I'm working on is working on a pretty big wealth contract. And it's like you have to literally baby it through the process. So she has been pretty integral. So she's the one that implements this wealth contract. She's the one that gets it done. And it's a very interesting web of like them coming up with creative things to like deliver it. Next is watery element. So some of the elementals from the water keep them steps forward. Very feminine, flowy energy. So really beautiful. So thank you for your help and guidance. So if I was just really soft, feminine, giving, kind, gracious energy. So it was really nice working with her. Thank you to the universal energies and the leagues of justice. So the universal energies, there's different universal energies, but there's a major governing body that governs all the different universal energies and universes, because there's more than this one. Thank all of you. I'm always tapping into you for resources, guidance to bring consequences or justice to people that need it. So thank you for your patience with me and the opportunities you've given me. So I appreciate it. So this is a governing party, but I wanted to get this in writing. Thank you to the universal energies. Next are Archangel Raphael. Whenever I have an ailment or something going wrong, I'll call an Archangel Raphael, as well as benevolent healing angels, as filtered by my higher self for my highest health and wealth. So sometimes I wake up in the morning and I get like, this only happens sometimes. I get arthritis in my one of my ankles, and I'll call the angels and beings in and heal it. And so about 10 minutes later, it's gone. So, and then I just go about my day. Whereas if I didn't have this knowledge, I would just have to walk stiffly for 3 to 4 hours until it warms up and works its way out. So for little things like that, for myself, for my family, I call in a lot of benevolent healing angels and Archangel Raphael, and they're always fun to deal with. I also, because of the kind of work I do, and I just got tired of all the spiritual attacks by these negative entities, I actually call some beings from my home planet every day, a couple of them, to come and assist. So thank you to the benevolent team from my home planet who are willing to help. And so they do a lot of neutralization of any attacks and mischiefs and pranks towards me every single day. And they look over all my interests on the astral. Your business has an entity. Your bank accounts have energy. You need to watch them. You need to clean them. You need to make sure no one's messing with them, because they do. They literally attack your bank accounts. Archangel Barakiel, he's sort of known as like God's second hand angel when it comes to the angelic realm. I ask him for a lot of help with entity removal. He's very, 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 very powerful. I really, now speaking of it, I probably need to start a conversation with more, but it's just really been entity removal and things attached to me, and it's a little challenging for me to get rid of them. And also to some of my first guides who were dragon guides, Asher and Matusis. Asher was like a protective guy. Thank you so much for your help and just making me feel safe, because I know there's some things I asked them to intercede, and dragon energy doesn't play. You do not want people calling dragons on you. Just make sure they're dragons that are for the highest good, because they can get something from you if you're not paying attention. And Matusis was also a really great dragon. I actually saw him when I did what are those things? It's like self-hypnosis, past life. There's this quantum self-hypnosis. It's something where you look at your past lives, and you go through a hypnotist who does it. And I remember meeting him on that journey, and I was like, oh, you're like a legit dragon. I thought that was super cool. Thank you to both of them they just played a really big part in just making me feel very secure, especially when you start finding out about all the stuff that's real and all the attacks and how much, people are just so unaware of what's going on. And so when you become aware, you can get a little nerve wracking, but that's so much. I don't work with them as much, but I always like just have a moment to just honor them and go, thank you. So High John the Conqueror, that reminds me of High John the Conqueror. Thank you. He's really good if you want to do wealth or court cases, which I've used him for both. He just has this way of just breaking through like any wealth gap. And so High John the Conqueror, thank you so much. You've been amazing. He is known in the hoodoo lore as like, there was a slave that came down and he would just, the masters thought he was dumb, but he'd always get over on them. Very, very clever. And so everyone was just looking like, oh my God, is this guy for real? So it's just a very good leader, especially during very hard times. Goddess Oshun, thank you so much for stepping forward. She's the one who told me to start the Divine Feminine Energy journey. When Oshun comes stepping up to you, and then she's the one that told me about like me being ordained as a high priestess already within her lineage. and also gave me access to the book of infinite wisdom and knowledge. So whenever I need to download information, I can go to that book, which is really amazing. So that's really cool. Merlin, my favorite wizard, is absolutely amazing, and he looks just like you'd think. He has the purple robes and the long white hair. He really opened up my elemental abilities to connect and manipulate the elementals: fire, earth, air, water, as well as working with plants. I was working on being telekinetic, being able to move things with your mind, but I sort of strayed away because there were some levels of energetic work you have to do to be able to do that. But I think I might start that up again. Yeah, so the tree of life, I work with the tree of life if I need certain type of knowledge, just like the book of infinite wisdom. So just thank you so much for being available to all those who are around. And the Silk Kingdom, I remember when I first got into spirituality, I realized all these realms existed. I was walking, and this once I met someone from the Sylph Kingdom. I swear I cannot remember his name. I think it's like Jarrell, and it was a male. Most are male. The sylphs are in the air. They're flying with the wind, and they're playing with it. And I remember I was like, "Oh my gosh, I met one." And I remember so like I heard a ch-ch, and that's like the sound like if a spiritual being wants to get my attention. And I looked over and I saw this tree, and there's no wind, but every single and it was golden leaves because it's like the fall. Every single golden leaf on this bare oak tree was just wiggling like this. It was such a nice hello. It was such an awesome sight that only I get to see, but I was just like, oh my God, that's so sweet. So to this day, that one sight was so spectacular. I'm going to remember this forever. It's very interesting. So thank you to the Sylph Kingdom, and specifically that particular self who showed me that. I do appreciate you. So yeah, this was thank you. Thank you. Thank you. Hello. It just says Facebook user, so I don't know who you are. Yeah, so it's just a thank you. I'm working on a wealth contract that I created. My higher self was like, you can do this. And so I did it. But I found out when you have a contract, you don't just make the contract and it gets done. If you really want to be aggressive about it, you need to get universal energies to sign on as well as protect it. So I remember so every day I have to look at this wealth contract and doing this, and one day they were like, just we need a little gratitude. We're doing a lot behind the scenes, and I didn't know that all these different guides that I had spoken to were taking up some of the work. I had no idea. I didn't know who it was, but I just didn't realize them. They were like, more gratitude, and I was like, okay. And so I did that. That was a few weeks ago, but then it's just like, oh wow, sometimes you think it's just your higher self, but sometimes some of these beings, be it Jesus, be it God. Oh, I didn't even say thank you to Jesus. I'll say that later. Some of the ones who know you, and especially if you're a dedicated student and they see potential, they will step forward and help and assist. Yeah, and so I just wanted to say, yeah, and I didn't know, but now I realize that like if they can and they know you and they see like there's a task out there that they can help complete, they do. So this video is just like a very big thing. It'll live forever. It'll be up here forever. And so it's just a nice thing that I know I could do for them to like make sure their name is honored and repeated for as long as I have this channel and that I can. And I just wanted to shout out to the Norwegian, the Norse gods that I worked with, Odin, and I worked with him through someone else. Like he didn't work directly with me. And Hecate, I worked with her when I lost something. I thought someone stole something. They didn't steal it, but she's really powerful. She did show up and she was open. So I'm trying to think, is there anyone else I want to honor in this video? So yeah, that's it. Any questions about this? Now, would I suggest you by yourself, if you don't know how to do this, to go out and just talk to any being? I would rather you do it with someone who is trained, because there's certain filters you need to put in place. There's certain levels of integrity a being needs to have, and you need to know how to get those definitive answers, because some of these beings are liars and they're just using you. So I want to say something like, I remember I was talking about voodoo and I never wanted, for some reason, there was just something in me that said, we don't do that. And I started asking, why don't we work it? And I got an answer. They were like, well, the Loa, they'll say yes and they'll help you, but oh, you want this? They're going to get 5 times as much as they give you. And so they were like, yeah, so they're not there for you. They're there for them. So you can, if people who work with them understand, they're getting more than you are from the deal. So when I work with beings, I generally make sure they're very high integrity. They're, very much of integrity and towards the light. And it's a difference. They're not trying to get over on you. Archangel Barachiel is not trying to get over. Jesus is not trying to get over. You know what I mean? Like, I work with beings who can simply give for the desire to give and to assist. Not every being is like that. So, I love the power. It gives me an access to information and the ability to get things done behind the scenes. But just understand, I'm telling you, like, I'm really much into teaching you guys how to fish and do things yourself. Look at my workshops. Like, I want to teach you how to do this yourself. However, when it comes to this, don't just jump in without someone who knows how to navigate this world. Check someone out, verify them, and make sure that because sometimes they'll pretend to be Archangel Metatron. You got to say the right words to make sure, like, they don't filter through. So they're liars out there. They're tricksters, and that's why so many people have gone wrong. They think they're talking to a great aunt. And it's some trickster enemy, but you didn't know how to filter. You just trusted it without having the discernment to know that you have to put things in place and not just anyone can pretend. So yeah, that's two different realms. Shout out to the mermaid realm, the sylph realm, dragon realms, and dragon kingdoms. The dragon kingdom was the first one where the power was really powerful. And I really learned, like, wow, you thought angels, well, wait until the dragon realm, right? And it was just like such a very visceral, like, this is real. And of course, that's where I started my study to go to see how far it can go. And we haven't even gotten to the plant kingdom, right? So shout out to all the plant kingdoms and the plant elementals I've worked with, and fire elementals and air and water elementals, and earth elementals. So yeah, those are the kind of spiritual beings I particularly work with. They're very specific. Some stepped forward because they knew one of my other higher selves. Others I've worked with in the past. And others are new, but I liked what they brought because I needed that perspective. Because sometimes you need this perspective, right? You need that stronger. There's this one energy, I swear, when I saw visions of it, it was just like an old sacred ancient rock. I don't know what I called him, and his perspective was just old, ancient, and sacred, right? And that's what he brought. And so I call them my counsel. So they're a counsel. They give me advice and counsel. And I meet with them every so often, and I'll call them all together. And sometimes they don't all agree. So sometimes I have to individually go one by one and go, how do you feel about the situation? Do you think this is the next steps? And this is the next step. And like, it's literally like a legit meeting. And I'm like, I get the final sign off because it's my life, but they definitely give their input. So sometimes you want the lion with a more regal outlook of things. Sometimes you want a cowboy. Sometimes you want me. And sometimes you want just your higher self who, may not have those different perspectives, but she knows what you like and need. So it's just been really helpful. Especially grandmother and my ancestors. So yeah, those are the kind of beings. I hope this was sort of informative on, like, when you get to a high level of spiritual attainment, how definitely, like, using the resources of others can help. But yeah, they have been integral. So I hope this was enlightening on the things. Now, I'll just say this last thing. Who I work with isn't the same as some of you other low vibrational practitioners. Y'all don't know who the F you're working with. So it's not the same what I do. A lot of you guys have not learned to channel. You haven't learned the rules. You haven't learned how there's loopholes. Okay. So y'all just dealing with whatever. So there's a lot of people have a lot of fear about, like, oh, I don't want to be messing with those energies. Well, you're right. You shouldn't just be messing with those energies. You need to be very clear who it is and be able to speak to them in the way and make sure you protect yourself and you say the right words. So whenever I have these conversations, it's a very long sentence, like beings of integrity of life and from a highest health and wealth that's filtered through. Like, I got to say so much to do the same thing. So it's a whole, like, ritual calling, but like, you have to do that to make sure that not just anything can come through. It is the wild, wild west of the astral realm. Okay. Now, that's fine, but you just need to know it. Does that mean you don't have to do it? You're not if you don't want to, if you're scared. But what it does for me, what it means for me is that you really have to gain knowledge of self-protection in that realm. So I can straddle it pretty well. I can be in it and still not be touched, but I know how to make sure the right people come through and no tricksters. There's so many trickster energies. Sometimes but then sometimes they're just taking advantage of your lack of knowledge. They do a lot of that. So I'll let you go. Hope this was fun. And yeah, gratitude to the council and have a wonderful day. Bye.